Good morning. Good morning. I'm just going to get settled here. Is that okay? Give me just a moment. Oh, my goodness. It is such an honor to be here today and to just bask. All these faces I'm seeing, I haven't seen for a while. I just love. It's so good to see everybody. Reverend Patty is a gem. Yes? Yes, yes, yes. And your beloved John Kirko, OMG, right? And, you know, there's so many things that I can get away with as a visiting minister. And one of them is I really want to share with you a different perspective on how precious your spiritual community is. Yes? Yeah, and I know that you know it because you're here today. But these two beautiful people, your Reverend Patty and your John Kirko, are living a labor of love on your behalf. Right? Yes. And I know that many of you support them in holding this container called Vision, a Center for Spiritual Living, so that so many lovely souls can come and hear this teaching and be healed and have their lives lifted up and transformed. And it's such an important thing, of energy dynamic that needs to be taking place on this planet right here today. We can never underestimate the power of transformation that we as individuals hold just merely by committing to a dedicated life of spiritual practice. We are truly, truly, each and every one of us, creating a world that works for everyone by every single choice that we make. Yes? Yes. Okay, so got that done with. I want us to stop this morning and take a look around, just as our beautiful Terry Wilder sang. And so what I'd like to do to begin my talk is to kind of take an accounting. How many of us need to stop and take an accounting from time to time when we forget our blessings? When we forget, yes, when we forget who we are, when we forget who our God is. So let's just stroll along. Now, we are living on this planet called Earth, and this planet called Earth is existing in a galaxy called the Milky Way. So, stars come together and cluster together to form galaxies, and there are galaxies that cluster together that astronomers call groups. And the galaxy that we live in is called the Milky Way and belongs to a cluster of approximately, it's a smaller cluster now, there's only 30 galaxies. And the scientists call this a local group because it's a small galaxy. There are even larger clusters of galaxies that contain 50 to thousands of galaxies, and these clusters are called superclusters. Now we're going to go out a little bigger. We're going to expand out. So all of these superclusters, local groups, are joined together by huge, vast, enormous expanses of great voids where absolutely nothing exists at all. And sometimes it can take as much as 10 million light years to get from one galaxy to the next. Now, to the best of science's ability, they now are declaring that the observable universe, that's just the observable universe, is 92 billion light years in diameter. Let's just kind of be there with that, shall we? And in 1920, we now know, science says, that Edwin Hubble discovered that the universe is always expanding. So I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. I'm going to ask you just to get to present of you. Just say hello to yourself. And now I want you to say hello to yourself on the outer edges of your energy field. And now I want you to say hello to yourself in the outer edges of the stratosphere. And now I want you to travel out to the moon. Travel out to the edge of our galaxy. And now travel out even further. The furthest reach of a universe that you can find. Just enjoy the stars. Expand yourself out. Become aware of how at one you are. And now, come back through the galaxies, through the stars, through the moon, through the stratosphere, back into this room, back into your body. And when you're back, you may open your eyes. Now, here's the question. Was there any place that you went that you were not? Did you find any place where you couldn't find yourself? Isn't that interesting? We know as religious scientists, what do we say? We say there is no place that God is not. Surprise. There is no place that you are not. If we are, in fact, made in the image and likeness of God, and all of the spiritual pathways actually tell us that, in Christianity, the book of Genesis starts out by saying, God said, let us make man in our own image and after our own likeness. Buddhism says every being has the Buddha nature. This is the self. Hinduism says that which is the finest essence. This whole world has that as its soul. That is reality. That is the self. That art thou. Isn't that beautiful? Islam states, I have breathed into man of my spirit. And the Shinto practice states, the deity is eminent in man, and man is inherent in the deity. There is neither the divine nor the human. There is no difference in essence at all between them. Is that amazing? So if we think about we're made in the image and likeness of God, it can seem a large concept to grasp. It can seem an esoteric pondering, yes? Yeah. And when we are caught up in our workaday worlds and we're dealing with a physical illness, or we're dealing with a challenge, if we're dealing with finances, if we're dealing with work, oftentimes it can be very difficult to stop and remember that we're made in the image and likeness of God and we are an infinite being. But let me give you some more information to help remind you just who you are. This is who you are. So now if we take all of that infinite nature of all of the universes that are known and unknown, seen and unseen, if you think about all of the vastness and all of the synchronizations that must take place to keep all of that chaotically in order, right? We have those same universes within our own physical bodies. I love science. Science is telling us so much. It's fascinating. Let's just talk about the human body. If you just forgot who you are, here's who you are. Your body has 500 muscles, 200 bones, and 7 miles of nerve fibers, all synchronized. Your eyes have 100 million receptors that allow you to see. 100 million receptors. Your ears have 24,000 fibers that oscillate so that you are able to hear the wind, a bird sing, a symphony. Your heart beats 36 million times a year. Year after year, asleep or awake, pumping our blood through more than 60,000 miles of veins, arteries, and tubing, and pumping more than 600,000 gallons each year. Our lungs have 600 million pockets of folded flesh, which rid our body of gaseous wastes. Our blood, we have only 5 quarts of blood, right? But contained within those 5 quarts of blood are 22 trillion blood cells. 22 trillion with a T. And within each cell are millions of molecules, and within each molecule is an atom oscillating at more than 10 million times each second. Each second, 2 million of your blood cells die to be replaced by 2 million more in a resurrection that has continued since before your birth. Now, our brains are 3 pounds, but there are 13 billion nerve cells, more than 3 times as many cells as there are people on this earth. And within your cells, more than 1,000 billion protein molecules exist. Throughout your form, you have 4 million pain-sensitive structures, 500,000 touch detectors, and more than 200,000 temperature detectors. And if we were to take a single strand of your DNA and take all of the pieces that comprise a single strand of your DNA and laid them end to end, a single strand of your DNA laid end to end would measure 6 miles. Go, oh. So, nothing big or large. No big deal. Who are you? Do you really matter? Are you really powerful? I don't think so. Should you really dare to dream? Is anything possible for your life? Are you limited in any way? Does anything block you? I love it. That's my favorite. I've got a blockage. Does anything block you? Does anything stop you? Prohibit you? Contain you? We're silly bobillies, aren't we? We forget how magnificent we are. We forget how powerful we are. We forget how magnificent God is. And we forget how powerful God is. God created the universes. God is the universe. God created us. God is us. And if we were even to go even further into the exploration of just what so, this is just what so, y'all. This is just the what so of matter, right? This is us just looking at the physical reality of what we know as life. So then we can go into molecules, atoms. Inside the atoms, we have protons and neutrons and electrons. And now science has even been able to see and move down even deeper in breaking down protons, neutrons, electrons, and atoms. So we have all these crazy things. I want to get them right because they're fascinating. So we have fermions, quarks, leptons, and bosons. And I'm not even going to get into fractal geometry this morning. So, okay, so I don't need my notes anymore. That was all the science I'm going to give you this morning. So who are we? We're infinite beings. We're made in the image and likeness of God. And I have to say that one of my favorite realizations, one of my favorite wisdoms that has been gifted to me on my spiritual path is the power to ask questions. So oftentimes we, as human beings, try to work and labor to get the answers. We want to be right. We want to know it all. We want to think we have it all together. And you know the saying, we make plans, God laughs. All right? And what I absolutely know that I know is everything is always working together for our greater expansion. It's impossible to be anything else. And so if we are an infinite being, right? Remember we went all the way out into the outer reaches of the universe. Does an infinite being need to be safe? What do you need to be safe from? Does an infinite being need to be protected from anything? Does an infinite being need to know? Does an infinite being need to figure it out? Does an infinite being have any aspects of their life that aren't perfect? Is there anything right or wrong about an infinite being? And so we as human beings, we are judgment-producing machines. It's how our minds are designed. We're designed to know right because we can know wrong, to know good because we can know bad, to know light because we can know dark. It is a function of the brain to keep us safe. It's part of the mammalian brain that when we were in our earliest stages of development as a human species, we had to know fight or flight. We had to know these answers to keep us alive. What's interesting, in Deepak Chopra's book, Super Brain, what science has discovered is our mammalian portion of our brain, which was the largest portion of our brain, is shrinking. And as a human species now, the portion of our brain that is the limbic portion of the brain, which is where we experience God and spirituality, is actually getting larger. Isn't that amazing? Because we have less and less need to live from fight or flight because we are becoming more awakened human beings. We're becoming more illuminated human beings. We're becoming more conscious human beings. We're being more educated. We have more knowledge and data and wisdom and information. And so we know there is nothing to fear but fear itself. We know that all things are working together for our good. We know that all of our needs are met. We know that there's enough for everyone. We know that we are our brother's keeper. We know that love is the most healing power that the universe knows. We know these things. We are the guardians of knowledge. We are the emissaries of truth and wisdom. That's who we are. That's who you are. We have been empowered with this knowledge. We have been empowered with this information. And so when I find myself in moments where I am arguing with God, have you ever done that? It's very funny. It might not seem like it at the time. Right? God? 14 years in ministry and really we're going to close this church? Really? Really? Of course, it wasn't quite the... And we generate stories. Our judgments, we have judgments about our judgments, and we assign meaning to what's so. And how many meanings can we assign to the conditions of our lives? We love our stories. It's really bad, and it's so bad. Let me tell you why it's so bad. I've worked so hard and done all this work and all these people and all this time, and I'm this age now, and this wasn't how it was supposed to look. It was supposed to look this way, and this is not fair. And what do we know happens? our greatest good happens. That's all that's ever happening. So let me ask you, I have a question. Show of hands, how many of you have ever been forced, I'm just going to go there. Because, we're in that story. How many of us have ever been forced to maneuver through, transition through a challenge that you just thought you might not make it through? Oh, okay, everybody, keep your hands up, look around. Yeah. So I just have one piece of observation about that. You're here. Is there any place that you can go where God is not? No. Is there any place where you can go where you are not? No. Is there anything that is ever not working together for your greatest expansion? Yeah. It's always working for our greatest expansion, but we forget that. We just forget. And it's okay to forget. It's okay to get angry sometimes, because guess what? Is God in the anger? Yes, God is in the anger. If we just are infinite beings living an infinite life, it's our judgment that says anger is right or wrong. Yes? It's just judgment. Is God in the sadness? Yeah. Is God in the loneliness? Is God in the celebration? Is God in the abundance? Is God in the love? Yes, God is in all of it. So why do we work and spend so much energy trying to avoid some of it? Why can't we just let it all be God? Why can't we just allow life to flow however it flows? My very wise grandmother used to say to me, Roby Lynn, I go through life like this. Because if I give of what I have, then I'm in the perfect position to receive what God gives me. And I say, I move through life with wide open arms, in requiem and reception with equal joy. Meaning, I work to welcome whatever new wants to come my way, and I work to welcome the release of whoever or whatever God is asking me to release. With equal joy, equal trust, equal faith and understanding. How many of us are living lives that we could not have written if we would have tried? Yeah, right? Why do we try? I mean, it's great to have a vision. It's fine to have desire and passion. Those are all good. However, just get out of the judgment on if you achieve it in the time frame that you thought you should, if it should look like you thought it should, if it was who you thought it was with, if it was how, let go of the judgments. What would an infinite being do? Well, I think an infinite being would laugh at it all, first of all. But an infinite being just enjoys and loves and delights in all of it. It's so funny when we have these life conditions that show up. And in the moment that they show up, we get rattled or challenged. And we, in that moment, are kind of cursing life, cursing God, being upset, whatever we're doing. And isn't it interesting when all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, we get a new piece of information, and all of a sudden we're like, oh. Have you ever done that when you've lost your car keys and you're so upset that you've lost your car keys? And you're running through the house and you're looking everywhere and you're like so upset. I just lost my car keys. Oh my God, it's terrible. I'm going to be late. Oh, it's so stupid. Why am I so stupid? Why don't I just keep my car keys in the same place? Who moved my car keys? Whatever. You get all these stories. And then the moment you find your car keys, what do? Oh, okay. How many women have I counseled that have been like, I just want a man. I want us to ride. There's going to be one good man out there. You know who you are. Right? And it's like, I'm just so depressed. I've been single for 7 years now. Right? And then, inevitably, at another point in time, I'll run into them and they'll be like, hi, Reverend Roby, how are you? Oh, I met this fabulous man and we've been together for 2 years, right? We're very silly little people. So what are you cursing right now in your life? What are you questioning? What are you judging? What are you labeling as this should not be? It should be a different way. I should have more money. I should like the people that I work with. I should have a better job. I should have a better car. I should have a better house. My body should not look like this. I should have better health. My family should not behave this way. If they really loved me, I just want you to be aware, newsflash, those are all just judgments and stories. They're not really capital T true, are they? And so what would be possible if you just allowed your stories to fall to the wayside? What else is possible if you release your judgments? What is possible if you just stop for a moment? Stop. Stop the madness. Stop the internal dialogues. Stop the judgments. Stop. Take a look around. We live in an infinite universe contained within these miraculous bodies. And there is a power and a volition that is working through us, for us, as us, with us at all times. That power and that volition is always expanding into greater good. That power and that volition only ever just says yes to you. That's the only game that's happening. That's it. That's the only thing that's happening. It is done unto you as you believe. It is done unto you as you believe. It is done unto you as you believe. You have the choice and the power as an infinite being to choose and decide what is really going on. Are you prosperous? Yes. Are you powerful? Absolutely. Is everything working for you to have your greatest, most outrageous, radical, beautiful life ever? Yes. Is it possible to be loved and to love? Absolutely. Is it possible for some outrageous outcome that you could never even imagine to take place? Absolutely. We live in a world of infinite possibility. And at the very nature of who we are infinite possibility creators. But it's just up to us to choose. If we digest all of this vast grandiosity down to its lowest common denominator, the lowest common denominator of all of this greatness is a choice. Right where you are, wherever you are, in whatever moment you're in, you have the power to choose. You can choose possibility. You can choose to believe that that situation is working together for your good. You can choose to see someone as perfect exactly as they are. You can choose not to match energy with someone. You can choose to love someone anyway. You can choose to trust and have faith. You can choose to have peace of mind. You can choose to be the causing agent for whatever you choose to experience in your life. And it doesn't require effort or force or manipulation. It only requires choosing. So as an infinite being, God is the volition of who you are. God is the volition of what is working through you. And God is the manifesting volition of the body of your affairs. Isn't that magnificent? And so the question for you to take with you this week, because I believe in leaving people with questions, is, what would an infinite being do? What would an infinite being do? And so I'm going to leave you with a final prayer from a woman whose words could be my words, and they could be your words, but they're so very well said. So I'm going to leave you with the words of Mother Teresa, and this is the prayer of Mother Teresa. May today there be peace within. May you trust your highest power that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use those gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content in knowing you are a child of God, and let this presence settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance. It is there for each and every one of us. Namaste. Thank you for letting me be here with you this morning.